we move to Tennessee and Georgia. When I talk about on college football final or throughout the day on Saturday or throughout the week, when we talk about perfection in terms of quarterback play, in terms of stylistically in the game, and in this case with Tennessee, Georgia, the perfection with which Kirby Smart and his defensive coaches put together the game plan to shut down Tennessee on Saturday was honestly one of the best executed schemes I've ever seen. I'm not going to get too heavy into the X's and O's and where the defense was lined up in the Tennessee offense. All of that, I'll leave that to Galloway, Dan Mullen, and some of the football X's and O's experts. But here's what I know. Tennessee scored 13 points. And throughout the course of that game, the little amount of shots that Hendon Hooker took, it's not because Tennessee tried to change their game plan. It's because Georgia wouldn't let them go deep. Everything we had seen all year with Jalen Hyatt, with Tillman back, Brew McCoy, the Tennessee receivers, you're thinking, well, wait a second now. I know Tennessee's got one of the best offenses in the country as well. Tennessee's equipped to get in a shootout. We saw it against Alabama. The way that they were absolutely shut down for me is 1 cheers, 2 cheers, and a chug for Georgia. Because you were talking about one of the best offenses we've seen in a long time in college football. And I've even been one of those that have said, hey, is Tennessee a version of 2019 LSU? Is this the team that's just got everything put together to where they can go on a run and win the national championship? It's still early, and I'm not saying that that is over, but I'm saying it took a big hit on Sunday with what Georgia did between the hedges, 27-13 against Tennessee. The stats, when you look at what Hendon Hooker had done coming into this game relative to Saturday, 23 of 33, 195 yards, no touchdowns and an interception. This thing was so high flying for the first 9 weeks of the season. Cedric Tillman, 7 catches, 68 yards. Jalen Hyatt, 6 catches, 63 yards, no touchdown. This to me, and I was one of those that was a little bit suspect of where we were with Georgia because we just hadn't seen that perfect performance. Everybody brings up Kent State, fine. It's Kent State. You could probably roll the ball out and win. Georgia looked like that against them. They go on the road to Columbia, Missouri, and needed some stuff late to get that victory. So perhaps you're sitting there thinking, well, I mean, is that talent missing going to manifest itself for Georgia? Do they have too many holes to replace? Is Nolan being out? Is that going to affect him the rest of the way? Maybe that still will. But you can't tell me there wasn't a more dominating performance on the field Saturday than what the Georgia defense did against the Tennessee offense. That is the best, single best performance I've seen all year in terms of unit against another unit. Everybody did the great College Game Day. We did it on SportsCenter. It was good versus good. Great defense versus great offense. End of the day, Georgia, for me, top to bottom, proved to everyone that they are, one, still the team to beat in college football. They are still the best team in all of college football, and they showed it on Saturday. I want to share a stat with you that Sam Acho stole from Joey Galloway and used on one of our pregame shows on Friday. And we had a lot of fun with it. And I still couldn't believe it. And then we looked it up to verify it on research that going into the game, going into Georgia, Tennessee, it was Stetson Bennett who had more passing yards this season than Hendon Hooker. Let that sink in for a minute. All of the superlatives we've been giving Tennessee's offense, and rightfully so, going into that game Saturday, Stetson Bennett had more passing yards than Hendon Hooker. And so you give Tennessee all the credit, and they're not done yet. They're not done yet. We'll talk about that in a minute. But number one, Tennessee goes down. Georgia will be number one on Tuesday. We're not going to debate that. Georgia's going to be number one in the country based on the most dominating performance to date this season. Cheers to the Dogs. For any doubters that were out there, we were completely wrong. Completely wrong about the fact that you're still the team to beat It showed on Saturday. So Georgia gets the win of the season because that was not the Tennessee team that we've been accustomed to seeing this year. So we'll see what plays out, because here's how the ramifications of that are simple. Georgia now, they're undefeated. They've essentially knocked Tennessee out of the SEC East. That was kind of a de facto SEC East championship. Sure, could something trip up later on potentially? I don't see it happening with Georgia, but Georgia looks like they are headed to play in the SEC championship against, we don't know, in the SEC West.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.